All right, so today we're going to dive into this book, Finding Your Pie, P-I-E, by Michele DeCaro.
Okay.
And, for those listening who really want to kind of like cut to the chase and get to the core of what this book's about, um, this is going to be like a shortcut for you.
Yeah, definitely. So, like, at the heart of it is this whole PIE thing, this framework. And PIE stands for Purpose, Inspire, and Elevate. And it's a spiritual framework.
Yeah, and what I find interesting is DeCaro, she's a minister, but she's also a CUNY English professor.
Oh, wow.
And this whole PIE framework, it actually came from a writing strategy that she uses called point illustration explanation.
Interesting.
So I'm curious, like, how do you see that background, like her teaching background? How does that kind of play into her spiritual approach in this book?
Well, I mean, it sounds like, helping her students articulate their ideas clearly,
Hmm.
that kind of teaching experience. It makes sense that it would inform her approach to, like, helping readers figure out and then actually, like, live out their spiritual calling.
Right. Yeah.
So it's almost like it's giving them a framework, a structure to kind
Mm.
of grasp and understand their purpose,
Hmm.
their divine purpose.
Exactly. And that's really what we want to get at today. Like, what is this spiritual PIE all about? And how does Sweeting Dakar use it to help people live a life that's, purposeful and inspiring, especially when they're dealing with self-doubt?
Hmm.
Because, like, the whole point of the book is to help you, step into what she believes is your calling.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, the first element, purpose, that's like the foundation.
Right.
And she really encourages readers to dig deep into, like, what they believe their God-given purpose is. So it's about uncovering, like, that deep reason for why you're even here.
Okay, so it's not just about, like, what job you have, right? It's like a bigger question.
Exactly. Yeah, it's way bigger. And she talks about, like, reflecting on times when you felt really joyful
Mhm.
and, where your talents kind of like meet the needs of the world around you. And
Hmm.
she suggests starting there, like, that's a good place to start looking for your purpose.
So then you start with purpose, and then from there, where does she go? Like, how do you go from knowing your purpose to actually, like, living it out?
Right. Well, so the next piece is inspire.
Okay.
And that's about using your purpose to make a positive impact on other people.
So it's not just about you, right? It's about, like, what you do for the world.
Exactly. It's like your purpose isn't this solo mission, like you're meant to connect with others and contribute to the world. And she talks about, like being vulnerable and authentically connecting with people to kind of lift them up.
Huh, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got purpose, inspire, and then what's the E?
Elevate.
Elevate.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's where she gets into, like, overcoming those inner obstacles,
Hmm.
that fear and self-doubt that hold us back. And she specifically addresses what we call imposter syndrome.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And what's really cool is she doesn't just look at it as like a psychological thing, like a mental block, but she sees it as like a belief system, a spiritual thing that can really prevent you from reaching your full potential, like your God-given potential.
Mm.
So she's basically saying that it's a form of self-limitation,
Yeah.
and it goes against the belief that you have inherent worth, that you were created for a reason. And so she encourages people to recognize that negative self-talk,
Hmm.
to call it out and reject it. And then she also talks about the importance of celebrating your achievements, like really acknowledging how far you've come.
So it's like breaking free from those limitations that you're putting on yourself.
Exactly.
And the book itself is pretty interesting. She's got like biblical wisdom and practical exercises and personal stories and references. And she even throws in some of her own songs.
Really?
Yeah, it's wild. It's like
Wow.
she's coming at it from all these different angles.
Yeah, and I think that multi-layered approach is really smart because it gives people different ways to connect with the material.
Hmm.
Some people might relate to the stories, while others might find the biblical grounding really helpful.
Totally so. To sum it all up, the spiritual PIE, purpose, inspire, elevate, it's about figuring out your core purpose, using your life to inspire others, and then rising above all those fears and doubts that try to hold you back. And Sweeting Dakara's book, it gives you a practical and faith-based path to do just that. It's all about self-discovery.
And it really pushes you to challenge that self-doubt, to embrace what you're capable of, and to acknowledge how far you've already come.
It really makes you think, like, what's one small step that you could take today to live more in line with what you believe is your truth? What really resonates with you as your truth?
That's a great question.
Yeah, it's something to think about. Well, thanks for diving deep with us today.
It was fun.
Always is.